Hey, g'day YouTube. Welcome back to my channel, Bonsai Works. I've had a little break from the Japanese black pines, but selecting needle plucking this time of year has been pretty full on. So I'm looking at my maples now, my tridents, and maples in general, and deciduous trees in general, actually, in my collection. Now, usually I like to do maintenance work now in winter, so it's just the start of winter here in Melbourne. And it's a matter of now doing maintenance work. It's a matter of doing repotting soon. I like to wait another month or so to repot, but I want to actually start the trimming process on this maple. You can see all its branches. You can see what's happening. I've let it kind of grow a bit too much this year, especially in the apex, and I'll show you what the issues that I found this year, and things I have to deal with. So we'll talk through all the jobs we need to do. One of the first things I actually like to do is the moss is starting to creep up the trunk. I'll just get a toothbrush and put a bit of water, just water it down, and start to scrape the moss off. You can spray it to kill it, but it's just a matter of me scraping the moss away. Now this is it's nice to see, so you can see the different level, the dry and wet. So it's a matter of for me, it's just cleaning it up. I want to see how big the base is again. I want to see what we're working with. Obviously pull the weeds off. So it's a really nice Nabari that's kind of been lost with all the moss growing on it. And I just go through the whole tree and expose it again. Get rid of it all. Now this tree didn't get repotted last year. I do my maples now every second year. So it's due for a repot this year. So I am preparing it to be repotted. So that's important. So have found that 2 years, and that's pretty rock solid. So that's pretty much what I've learned with these trees, my maples. If I do them every second year, less work for me, but more work in the second year, of course. So I'm just going to go and clean all the moss off first, and we'll get looking at the trimming of the branches. So once I cleaned off the moss, and the Nabari is absolutely massive. It really fills pretty much the whole pot all the way around there. Even the back looks really nice as well. So really nice to see that big Nabari again, let it dry out, hopefully, and then have a nice real feature of the tree. Now, this tree, the main issues are, well, not the main issues, let's talk about the best bits, is the twigginess is really starting to happen in these lower branches, which is great. The back is a little bit less twiggy than the front. That's just my fault because it's against the fence. So this side's against the fence and I don't rotate the tree enough. If I rotate the tree more, then I'll get better results. Now, there are some parts of this tree that are starting to get too heavy on the outside. Now, when I mean by too heavy, they start to thicken up a lot. They're getting thicker and thicker rather than smaller. Now, it's not too bad in here, but it's really happening really negatively up the top. The top has some really heavy branching now starting to happen. I'll bring it close up in a minute, just I wanted to talk about it first through. And then I start to look at different areas. So if you work slowly from the top, you'll see some of these branches are sticking out. There's a really heavy one, which I'll show you soon in the back over here, which you need to eliminate. So things kind of, when you think the tree gets away from you in spring and summer in the growing season, this is what you have to deal with when it comes to winter. Now, it isn't just a matter of cutting back, but it's an important step to cut back to where you think it should be. Now, I'll grab the camera and we'll go through the process and I'll show you other things that I'm going to do on the tree. So on the lower half of this tree now, there's a branch in here. See how it's starting to stick up? There's a lot of twigginess behind that. So I'm going to come in and take this part off. So I've taken a little bit off. There's a lot of nice twigs here and below. I like the movement upwards at the end, at the tips. It's a nice way to do it. Now, this is the branch that's lower down and it's quite heavy. You see how thick that is compared to everything else? Now it's a matter of where do we cut back to? Am I going to cut the whole branch back? Or cut it back there, cut it back there? It's looking very thick at the moment, and I'm not too keen on having that thick. So I'm going to cut it at this point here. So I'm going to cut quite a lot of it off. There's a nice little small branch in here that I want it to grow. We could go back further, but I'm going to leave it at that. Now that's the main issues on that area, but The other thing you can do also is start to, if things are getting a bit too long and leggy, this is an interesting one. I mean, although that forks out nicely, there's a bit of an internode here that's bare. I'll never get a bud there, but I've got a bud behind it. So there's a little bud in here that I want it to come up. So little things like that, and then I'll go through and work on the tree. So again here, there's buds behind it. So I slowly go through the lower half first and try and eliminate anything that's gone too far that I don't like. So there's probably little bits here everywhere that I can just eliminate. I like the natural twigginess and movement of this tree now. I don't really follow the making it maples triangle anymore, even though this is somewhat triangular in shape. I'm trying to eliminate that look. So just slowly go through this tree. There's some areas here that have gone too far, too much. So I'm going to cut back. So inner buds are very important. Keep them going. Let's go around to this side. There's some ones way out over here. Let's start to trim those back. This is interesting. I might just trim that back slightly. This one needs a bit more of a trimming back. There's a little bit of a stub just before the bud, okay? Coming up through the tree, we'll go up further. There is some heaviness starting to happen, so I'm going to slowly bring that back, the whole tree back. If I'm going to go back to here, then I can't really have branches that are further out. So that's what I'm trying to look at now. There's the heavy stuff I just have to eliminate. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of a lot of the heavy bits. Now you can see this is kind of pushing way past the periphery. So a bit of a hard cut back in some areas. So I'm going to cut back there. Cut back probably to there. So unfortunately I'm losing a lot of growth, but I've got to push the tree back to be back in shape. Now this is where the problems start to happen in the upper part. Now the upper part gets all the energy. And so look at this, how heavy this branch is. So I have to cut at least back to that little one there. So I cut it back to this guy, and maybe this guy's a bit too heavy too. So really having to think about cutting back hard in some areas because it's really gone out, and that's the only negative part of really healthy growth over spring. So I go through the whole tree, eliminating everything I can. Sometimes these work, sometimes they don't. So this is just one side. I haven't even done the back yet. I'm just going through slowly up on this side of the tree. This isn't too bad because it's more towards the top. Just got to eliminate a few bits and pieces. I want a more rounded top, so that's eventually going to happen, but I'm just going to help the tree along by reducing some of the really heavy bits. This is quite heavy. Things like that. This is too much on your eyes. Okay, so this is kind of roughly done, this side. So you can see it's come back a bit more, looks a bit more symmetrical now. Got some poking ones in the eye, so we're going to eliminate some of these. And that's what we keep doing. Pretty easy process, simple to follow, but very important. So again, this side of the tree, we've got some really heavy branches. Got to think about where I want to go back to. I can't go all the way back, so I'm going to probably go there and hopefully get some shooting of the tree a bit better. Reduce. Then I've got ones that are going too far straight up, so I've got to cut them back to side branching. Reduce that. This is really heavy, so I'm going to eliminate that. And you see, I don't have any wire on this tree, pretty much. I don't think so. I think I've got a guy wire somewhere, but at the moment, there's not much in terms of wire. So I'm just going to finish off this tree. It's simply a process of removing heavy growth and back growth. So now I'm going to look at the back, and I'll show you, see what I mean by how it's gone right out a bit too far. And I'm just going to slowly reduce the tree. Now it doesn't have as much branching as the front, so I'm just going to eliminate bits of it. I'm just going to keep doing that until I finish the tree off. All right, so pretty much did a quick, nice run through of the tree. Eliminate most of the heaviness already. Now I'm just going to clean up some of the old wounds and some of the old dead branches. So sometimes there's branches that have died off. Can you see the stump? I'm just going to cut back now. So it's pretty much rotted out. I'll just put some some wound sealer over that wound. There's a little few things, things like that I'm just going to clean up now and get the tree ready for repotting. So this is quite a large stump. It's been a branch I lost a long time ago. Just eliminate that. So things like that. But that's the kind of maintenance work you need to do this time of year before you repot. I like to, as I said, try and do this work same time as about repotting time, but because I got so many trees to repot this year, I have to start at least the trimming process early, so it's just a matter of repotting the trees. So just a quick run through. This is how the tree looks now. A bit more maybe refining, a bit more trimming up here and there, and that's a good process to follow. So don't be scared to trim your maples at this time of year, especially, in terms of start of winter, if you're in Melbourne or even anywhere in Australia or anywhere in the Southern Hemisphere. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon.